Coming up on Bloom, witness a love story of all time. A couple who met virtually during COVID. The wife discovers she's battling a deadly cancer, but there's a happy ending. Health, happiness, and a beautiful baby girl.
So they had to do surgery while pregnant. I was about maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant, and they went in and did a lumpectomy. And then after that, I had to start chemo.
Plus, celebrity chef Jason Smith is in with something for your sweet tooth. It's our Christmas edition as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, a full hour dedicated to your health and wellness, so get ready to bloom. Today we're celebrating Christmas miracles, people who stand today alive and well thanks to what they believe is something much greater than just themselves. And that includes our next guests, who met in the middle of the COVID pandemic. The epic love story did hit a few bumps in the road, with Alicia contracting COVID and her now husband Norman helping her along the way. The two got married and were expecting their first baby when Alicia got hit with another health hurdle, breast cancer. But today we are celebrating a happy ending, with the icing on the cake being the birth of their baby girl. Joining me now with their incredible love story are husband and wife Norman and Alicia Harris. It is great to have you both on Bloom. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
great to
having
be
us.
here.
Yeah, so this is an epic story, everyone, that has gotten national headlines. You guys met in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, everyone was home alone. And so what made you decide to reach out, Norman?
Well, a mutual friend of ours had recommended it. I was somewhat resistant initially, but when the pandemic hit, you home alone and can't go anywhere. I was a very busy person.
Yeah, you're an attorney, right?
I am an attorney, and so I started to second guess this thing. And long story short, I followed up on this advice and reached out to Alicia over social media, and that's how it all started.
And Alicia, you kind of had just gotten out of a relationship.
Yes.
You were kind of just trying to find yourself again. But as it would turn out, this ended up being the perfect match.
Yes, it did. A friend of ours, a mutual friend, she connected us through social media, and we had our first conversation, and it literally was a hit after that. We had a lot in common, and he was just a Southern gentleman, and
Very Southern, from rural Georgia, if you don't hear it in my voice by now.
I love it. It was very, very charming Georgian accent. Very, very pretty. So I was listening to Steve Harvey. He was that's how big this story got. I mean, it's made national headlines, like I said. You know, you helped her through the pandemic when she actually contracted COVID. You had to do that from a distance. You supplied her with the vitamins. You made sure she had everything that she needed to recuperate. And then when it was all said and done, you guys decided to
go on our first date.
Go on your first date, and soon thereafter you tied the knots.
Yes, he proposed about a month and a half after our first initial date.
Yeah, just to give some timeline perspective, we reached out on social media in April, had our first conversation in May, the Saturday before Mother's Day that year, 2020, and we met in person for the first time in July. Proposed on her birthday, August the 26th.
Yes.
Wow.
And we got married the following year, 2021, on February 14th.
6 months later.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
so beautiful. Then comes baby, and you're pregnant, and everything is
Yeah.
going along swimmingly until you go to a doctor's appointment. You're about 4 months into the pregnancy, and you find out that you have breast cancer.
Yeah, 4 months in. I got pregnant about 3 months into the marriage. And so everything kind of happened quickly. I went to a routine checkup for while I was pregnant, and they said, I feel a little something there. You might want to go get this checked out. And then I had to get a biopsy done. They ordered for me to get a biopsy, which was a little alarming because I was pregnant. So I said, if they want me to get a biopsy, it might be something, you know, of concern. And they came back and told me that that I did have cancer, breast cancer.
So I was curious, did they treat it while you were pregnant, or did they have to wait till after the baby was born? Because this was a more aggressive kind of cancer, correct?
Yes, it was aggressive type, but we caught it early. So they had to do surgery while pregnant. I was about maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant, and they went in and did a lumpectomy. And then after that, I had to start chemo when the baby was a little bit more developed, and I was in the 3rd trimester is when I started chemo.
Wow. And so Journey
Yes,
is here.
her name is Journey.
Today, and she's thriving. And so is your love story, which I think is so beautiful. And it's why we wanted to lead our Christmas special with the miracle of this. And for those of us who believe in something bigger, and I know you're trying to start a ministry as well, which is going to be very soon. And I know you're now helping other women through charitable efforts. So together, you've taken your own journey and you found a way to pivot and help others in return, right?
Yes.
Yes, one of the things I believe is whatever we go through in terms of struggle or challenge, to look for God in it, not God just to help us make it through it, but to look to see what God is birthing within us and through us. And because of that, we believe that Vertical Renewal, the ministry, has been birthed, and Journey for Two, that non-profit
My
organization
nonprofit.
my wife has started, was birthed. God works in us to birth things through us. And hey, this is why we're here.
You guys are a living, breathing example of that. Journey for Two, you had kind of your first big fundraiser. I saw all the pictures. A lot of women showed up.
Oh, yeah.
And tell me about the message and the mission behind the nonprofit.
Well, the nonprofit, I want to help other mothers that have find themselves in similar situations, having breast cancer, either while pregnant or just through motherhood. Like navigating through motherhood and also cancer at the same time can be very difficult. And some of these women don't even have a husband that's there for them, like I was gratefully had. So I want to be able to offer them a lot of support and also create awareness, because when you're pregnant, your hormones are kind of going crazy. And I just want to, maximize the screenings that we go through so that way we can catch that earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And through your mission, Norman, is it a brick and mortar or is it virtual? Like, how do people follow what you do?
Well, for this year, 2023, we met in Carrollwood at the Bible-Based Fellowship Campus. Starting in 2024, January, the 4th Saturday in January, we're going to meet at the Revealing Truth Ministries campus off Armenia, Saturdays at 5 o'clock, 4th Saturdays at 5 o'clock. We intend to extend the love of God to all who would come and enjoy.
I think that's beautiful. Well, I want to congratulate you both on your incredible journey together.
Thank you.
I think it's beautiful that you found light even through some of the darkness that you've gone through in your relationship together, but you were there for each other, and that's all that matters. And so we're going to post all the information about your ministry and Journey for Two on bloomtampabay.com. I wish you both wonderful, wonderful new year.
Thank you.
You
Happy
too.
New Year.
All right, we're going to be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Lifeguard Imaging.
Welcome back. Today we're celebrating Christmas miracles, a term often used to describe a remarkable and unexpected event that brings joy, hope, and a sense of wonder during the holidays. And we're meeting real people who are alive today, giving thanks for a second chance at life. And that includes the hundreds of people who are taking advantage of life-saving technology here in Tampa Bay, one of only 5 places in the country that gives people access to this kind of innovative technology that detects heart disease and hundreds of cancers in their earliest stages. It literally saved Cindy Withers' life.
First, we did the heart scan, and mine came back 100% perfect. So I was feeling pretty good, And then we went ahead and did the full body scan and went home. A couple of days later, Ernie got a call from Martine with a very concerned sound in his voice. He told us that they found something. They found a mass on my right kidney. I had absolutely no symptoms, no problems, no pain. It was a shock. I had been the month prior to my primary physician for my yearly checkup. And she took all my blood work and she says, Cindy, you have the kidneys of a 17-year-old. I said, oh, great. Well, the kidney's a silent killer. I had no idea. They found a softball-sized mass, and within, weeks, I was in surgery, having my entire kidney removed, which saved my life.
Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives every day, 1 to 3 lives. That is not a slogan, Martine.
No, it's not, Gayle, and it's something that every single day we're going to have, and finding it in patients that come in feeling good, looking good, that have no idea. In Cindy's case, the size of a softball, and she didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. So, thank God she came in.
And Martine Gramatica, he's an NFL great, Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and now you are the VP of Business Development at Lifeguard Imaging, and you said you came as a patient.
Yes.
And, you realized how important it is to have access to this life-saving technology, and we're one of only 5 places in the country that has it.
No, and Gayle, I came in as a patient with my wife. We wanted to be proactive. We have 3 kids, and we want to make sure that everything's fine, because originally I thought, okay, if I look good, I feel good, then I'm fine. If I don't feel anything, why should I go even get a checkup? And thank God we did, because now I not only have that peace of mind, but now I'm part of Lifeguard, where the scan in the 2 years that I've been with Lifeguard literally has saved 6 of my friends, whether it's heart disease or, like in Cindy's case, with the kidney cancer. So it's incredible stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, and Ernie and Cindy are just one of the many stories that we share with our Bloom viewers. I mean, Cindy is alive today with all of her grandchildren, her husband Ernie. I mean, they really, truly are a miracle.
It is a miracle, because Ernie had a heart attack, and because of that heart attack, when I reached out to him, they're like, well, we want to come in and do the full body, and thank God they did. And Ernie will say, my heart attack saved my wife's life, because like in the clip, how Cindy was saying, in 6 months, they thought it would have metastasized, and then it could have spread somewhere else. So that's why it's so important to come in and get that full body scan, because if there's anything going on, hopefully we catch it early.
Right.
And in Cindy's case, we were literally 6 months away from metastasizing, and we caught it early enough where she can have that miracle and spend time with all 9 grandkids and her husband and her family, and that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been the case if she didn't come to get a scan.
And think about Ernie. He's so grateful to know about Lifeguard Imaging now, because it might have prevented his heart attack, but at the end of the day, they're both alive and well, giving themselves that legacy gift of Lifeguard Imaging. It's something that my husband and I do. It's truly the best gift that you can give yourself and your family. So call today, right now. The number is on your screen. It's area code 813-582-5222, or visit lifeguardimaging.com. You'll receive a Bloom special offer, a free heart scan, when you mention Gayle or Bloom. That's a $599 value. So call today, 813-582-5222, for this special offer. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Lifeguard Imaging.
You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now, 813-582-5222, to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. We hope you are having an amazing Christmas and enjoying your holidays. Our friend, caterer and top personal chef Deb Murray is here to add to your holiday cheer. Chef Deb, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It's such an honor to be here. I love doing these segments with you. And when you reached out to me this year, you said, what do you want to make for Christmas for our special? And I said, I'm going to make what I've been making for my family for Christmas for decades, and that's standing rib roast, prime ribs of beef.
I love it. This looks delicious and it smells amazing.
Delicious. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this is a lot of people, first of all, if you don't have this as your annual Christmas dinner, I'm going to show how easy it is to do so.
Okay.
You can do so much of it so far ahead. The other thing I like about it is this year, the grocery stores are offering the rib roast at $6.99 a pound.
Ooh, that's a good deal, actually.
It is. Like this one right here, you can see I just purchased it. It is so well marbled. It looks like something I would easily pay $20 to $25 a pound for. What you want to get is you want to see a lot of the white markings in the meat. What that means is it's going to, as it cooks, become very tender. The ones that are just solid sides of meat, you want to have a meat slicer for those because those are going to be a little tougher. But again, this was just at our local grocery store. I didn't even have to go to a nice butcher shop for it. So how I get this result, the crispiness on the outside and the tender juiciness on the inside, is I keep my roast out of the refrigerator for 1 hour prior to cooking it.
Okay.
And even as much as the night before, I'll even just do the salting the night before. I won't leave it out all night long, but I love to, you rub it with oil.
Okay.
And now I'm using extra virgin olive oil, but you could use peanut oil, you could use avocado oil, any kind of oil that'll help the salt adhere to it. Now, some folks like to use herbs on there, some like to use garlic on there. I come from the school, and again, I've mentioned this before, I grew up at Christmas Island Steakhouse as working in the behind the scenes and in front of the house. I was there at a very young age, and it was very famous for their prime rib. So I was very confident in making prime rib. However, I have changed my method over and over again, always trying to get the most amount of flavor, the most amount of tenderness, and pay the least amount of money as possible.
I like that.
And
I had
so-
a quick question about the
yes.
salt. When you said you left it out for an hour, is that with the salt on it?
With the salt on it.
Okay, all right.
But you can actually, this is what's called dry brining. I would actually salt and crust it midway through the day before. And
Okay.
put it in the refrigerator without plastic wrap. Just let the salt, what the salt does, not just adding flavor, it will also help it retain water when it's cooking, keep the juiciness, but it will also pull the blood to the surface, which is where you get that dark caramelized color. And the caramelization is the flavor that we're wanting. So the salt is on here. I also do freshly cracked pepper. I do not, again, I used to use herbs, I've used to use garlic, and it's sometimes when you're having guests, it can turn off certain people if it has anything other than a savory flavor.
Okay.
So that's what I recommend. Now over here, we're gonna take this beautiful guy right out of the roasting pan, and here we go.
How long do you cook it for?
All right, so I preheat the oven to 500 degrees.
Okay.
What the 500 degrees is going to do is we're going to roast it for 20 minutes at 500 degrees. So we're searing in the juices, kind of like if you're searing a steak on the grill. Then I'm backing down the temperature to 325 degrees. And in this side's roast, I'm going to go for about an hour at 325 degrees. Going lower and slower keeps it from shrinking. It keeps it more tender. I like to always do the roast so that the center is 130 degrees. That's a perfect medium rare.
Okay.
Now, if you came to my house and you want well done, it's still, the end cuts typically will still be more like a medium well. But I make the au jus, and the recipe is online for that. The au jus, you have it heated up on the stove, and you can dip the roast into the au jus so that you can bring it to a higher temperature. Like if your guests would like this to be more medium. Now look at that. That is
Wow.
a perfect
Look at that.
medium rare. Now, I intentionally brought you plastic silverware to cut this with so you can see just how tender and juicy that is.
Okay.
I always like to serve it with au jus, but a very popular side with the prime rib anymore is horseradish sauce. They sell it in the deli, but I don't like it. It's a little too mayonnaise-y. I use sour cream,
Okay.
fresh horseradish, and a little bit of mayonnaise, and a little bit of Worcestershire
Now
sauce.
here I am, ladies and gentlemen, with plastic cutlery.
Plastic cutlery.
And it goes through it like butter.
Like butter. Now wait till you taste. I told you.
You were right.
What's happening when you're eating that beautiful tender piece of meat, the savoriness from the salt that is, and the slow cooking, all of that is just sending a signal to your brain that, oh my goodness, this is delicious.
And you're right. I was thinking, like, what did she season this with? But it doesn't need any specialized season.
It
just
really doesn't. It's
kosher
more
salt.
about the technique. I mean, I believe that I've even put iceberg lettuce on it, but I've tried every method. The newest method, which I'm about to test this year, and next year you'll have to have me back on in order to see how the results are. This year I'm doing 96 hours with a salt on it, and then I'm going to do 24 hours in the sous vide, and then it's 15 minutes roasting. So
I
for
can't
all that
stop eating.
much energy, I'm going to see if it tastes any better. But it certainly has some roasted vegetables.
Okay.
And the other part about prime rib is I like to always get a larger one that I'm going to use, because what I like to do is turn them into sandwiches. I would, I've got some little
bit of this.
what do you call these? These little brioche buns, the little Hawaiian buns they sell in the grocery store. I mean, how fun is that for the
That
next
looks good
day?
too.
And I mean, these are very popular in my catering this year. I started, since the prime rib was so inexpensive,
You
I
start
was
offering
offering
these little
prime rib
sliders.
sliders. Yes, we did it last night for the Palais Royale party, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, those are so delicious!" Between the fresh roasted meat and the horseradish sauce, you have quite a winner on hand.
This is Christmas come early for me.
Oh,
this is
how
great.
fun! I'm glad I get to be with you on
Yeah,
Christmas.
me too. And you have been such a gift
Thank
to all
you.
of us at Channel 8 and on WFLA and on Bloom, and we just adore you.
Thank you. Well, feelings mutual.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Merry
much.
Christmas.
Love you. Merry
I love
Christmas.
you too. And we're going to share this recipe online. And when we come back, the self-esteem doctor, Simone Alicia, is joining us with the power of belief. Bloom's Christmas special will return right after this. Welcome back to Bloom and Merry Christmas. Today we're celebrating Christmas miracles, which our next guest says can happen through the power of beliefs. Joining me now is the self-esteem doctor, Dr. Simone Alicia. It's so great to see you and Merry Christmas, my friends.
Oh, thank you and Merry Christmas. Oh, let's talk about miracles.
I know. Let's talk about miracles. You say that our beliefs can have some pretty magical effects.
100%. So our beliefs are the way that we are thinking, and the way that we're thinking really opens the door for us to perceive our life in a certain way. And it also opens the door for us to welcome in what we would call miracles and these magical moments. I was actually talking to a client the other day, and I said, you know, we say the half full and half empty with the glass, right? And I go, but that depends on how you've approached the glass. If you are thirsty and empty and your belief system is in a negative space, you're like, that's not enough, I need more. But if you are full and your belief system is in a really positive place, you will look at that same amount and say, wow, that's a great amount. I'm so thankful for that. So whether the glass is half empty or half full, whether you're experiencing magic and miracles is really going to be up to where you're coming from and what your belief system is.
And even for those that might be having a bah humbug moment right now, there is research that backs this feel-good result that you get.
Oh, yes. And I have my own examples as well as, of course, science. We've got people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and teams of scientists that are literally researching this and finding that your cells are operating differently, the blood is flowing differently, your heart rate is moving differently, your brain waves are different, the chemicals through your body, everything is impacted when we're able to get into this positive state of belief. And even personally, when I was in middle school, I was diagnosed with everything. I had mitral valve prolapse, I had a heart problem, I had something with my kidneys, something on my ovaries, and I'm like, what's going on? I was in a state of perpetual stress, trying to just perform and do so good. And finally I was like, you know what? I need to change some things around here. And through working, and of course alongside the doctors, I didn't just jump off of medication,
Right.
but I realized that my belief was really impacting that state of my body, and I was in a zone of healing, and I'm in perfect health today, thank God.
That's beautiful. I always share the story of my fourth daughter, Ella. I have an incompetent cervix, and the doctors were like, this is really, this could be a disaster. And then at the very end, my cervix, which rarely happens, it actually grew. And, she made it here. And, I look at her as a miracle every day. Yes. And so, I believe that, it may not always work. Sometimes circumstances, no matter how faithful you are, how much you believe it, may not work out that way. But generally in life, there is so much to back that positive thinking really propels you in the right direction.
100%. And the very least we can do is put ourselves on the path to the miracles, right? It may not happen like you said, but it's definitely not going to happen if we're not even open to it, if we don't even have that belief system that would allow us to recognize. Because sometimes these wonderful things are happening and we're not even noticing them. So for us to be able to do that, I think is huge.
It's true. It's true. A lot of times people are dealing with the loss during the holidays, and I feel and see signs from my parents, and I just think that if you open yourself up to that, it almost kind of you know, just downloads into your system.
It's 100%. When you're willing to see it, then you can see it. But if you've closed the door, then you absolutely can't experience that at all. I remember a cousin of mine said, you know, one of our uncles, when he passed, she was like, he came to me in a dream. And then my father was like, why didn't he come to me in a dream? And I'm like, Dad, are you open to that? Or do you think that's weird? And he was like, okay, never mind. You know? So we have to be open and receptive to that kind of stuff, for sure.
Any other specific examples?
Oh, for sure. Okay, I mean, besides my own and that, I remember that there was a child I was actually coaching, and this child would not go to any play dates, and she would just latch onto her mom. We had one session where we talked about your beliefs, and we talked about her writing a book about herself, but being that brave kid. Once that belief system shifted, she literally went to the very next play date and ran away from her mom and started playing. And the mom's like, what'd you do? Now that is miraculous. Like, she doesn't do that. I'm like, well, she does now. She's got a different belief system, right? And I got stories like that for days. There's a teenager who was diagnosed with a sickness, and then he was okay, but he kept having symptoms. They're like, there's no reason for these symptoms. And so I talked to him. I used examples of his basketball love and all that, and I'm like, let's reassess what you're looking at, what you're expecting. And bam, again, it was a one session thing, and he was fine and no more symptoms. And I'm like, it's your belief. These things matter.
Beliefs matter more than anything. And, you know, as we, you know, move forward to 2024, we're going to be sharing many more stories with our viewers about belief and how it carries you through life. You have just been such a treasure to us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. And beliefs are for every single day, and those miracles can happen every day.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Alicia. We're going to post this story on bloomtampabay.com. And when we come back, celebrity chef Jason Smith is joining us for Bloom's Everything in Moderation, y'all. And before we go to break, it is time for today's Bloom trivia question. What do people traditionally put on top of a Christmas tree? An angel, a star, or ribbon? We'll have the answer later on Bloom. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. It's time for our favorite new segment, Everything in Moderation. And who better than to give us a taste of the good life than celebrity chef Jason Smith, who is the author of Lord Honey, Traditional Southern Recipes with a Country Bling Twist. So welcome. It is great to see you.
It's
Merry
great
Christmas.
to see you. Merry Christmas, honey.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. That's right.
So what are we making today?
So today we're going to be making a gingerbread cranberry trifle, because what says Christmas other than gingerbread and cranberries? Now, most people think cranberries Thanksgiving, but cranberries is really the whole winter season or late fall season into winter. But this is a trifle that, because it is moderation, you're not getting a lot of sugar, but you're getting a lot of good things in there, like cranberries, ginger, and all the goodness. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah, and we say here on Bloom, everything in moderation. If you deprive yourself of the deliciousness that this man creates, that's just a Christmas sin right there. So
Well, this is true.
how do we put it all together?
All right, so we start off with some whipped cream, as I call it. We
right.
got to have some whipped cream. And then we're adding whole cranberry sauce to this. And then we're going to add a little bit of vanilla, and then some ground powdered ginger. Now, there is also ginger in the cookie layer that we're going to use, because we're using ginger snaps. Now, you can make those from scratch if you want to, but you can just buy the ones out of the store as well. I mean, you're in a hurry. This time of year, sometimes we have to buy things that are already pre-made that kind of help us along.
A little shortcut never hurt anyone.
Honey, a little shortcut never hurt nobody. All right, so then all we do is you take your favorite trifle bowl, you crush up your gingerbread cookies or ginger snaps, either one that you want to use, and you just do a small layer of those, and then a nice layer of this beautiful cranberry situation right there. And it's so light and fluffy, honey. Even Santa Claus will be knocking down the door to get some of this today. And then we just put in a little bit more cookies, and you just keep layering that until you feel like that you've got what you want, and depending on your bowl size. Now, I'm making this in a small, just decorative bowl, but it's a small bowl that you can make a few of these and take them to your neighbors today so they can have some of this wonderful stuff too.
I like that. And I love in your cookbook, it's not just about the recipes, which are incredible, but you also talk about why this is important to you. And these traditions mean a lot.
Yes, so there's a lot of great stuff in that cookbook, but traditions, honey. I think I've already had some of this bourbon caramel. But traditions is a big thing for me because in the South, we want to help everybody else. And that was traditions I grew up with too. It's always feeding somebody or taking somebody something. Whether you think they need it or not, everybody needs a little hug through food. And so then we just finish it off with some caramel here. Now this is a black pepper caramel. And if you want to add a little bit of bourbon to that, then go ahead. But if you want to use the white pepper, which is what I prefer in this because it gives you that little spice, but it doesn't give you that heat that black pepper does. And then we just decorate it with some whole ginger snap cookies, just like that, and it's good to go. I mean, you let it set an hour or so in the refrigerator just to start softening the cookies, and then you've got a great, wonderful end of the day dessert that's light and fluffy, because honey, we've been eating all day. We need something light and fluffy.
So when you show up to your neighbor's door with this, what do you say when they answer?
What do you say? Well, honey, you take this to the door and you say, well, Merry Christmas, y'all. I wanted you to bring you some good dessert, honey, so you all could end your day with something that is just special that I made from my heart to your all.
Well, you have a big heart and you create delicious, delicious treats for us, and we certainly have appreciated all the times you've joined us on Bloom, and I hope to see a lot more of you in 2024.
Honey, I'll be right here.
And I love your jackets.
Well,
thank
you.
This guy has the best jackets in town. All right, thank you so much, Chef
Thank you.
Jason. We're going to share this on BloomTampaBay.com, and we will be back with more Bloom right after this. Living the Tampa Bay lifestyle means enjoying the sand, sun, and outdoors fun. So get out, get active, and nurture those healthy habits. Hey there, I'm Gayle, host of Bloom. Now there's a new all-inclusive place with everything you need to shape your lifestyle, boost your health, and improve your wellness. BloomTampaBay.com, Tampa Bay's premier health and wellness website, made to help you feel good. Whether you're a fitness fanatic, beauty buff, or just want to take your first step towards positive change, this free website is for you. See the Bay Area's hottest fitness products, the latest workout crazes, and learn nutrition tips from the experts. Plus, discover local events and experiences designed with your well-being in mind. Cultivate a healthy mind, body, and soul. Check out BloomTampaBay.com, your local health and wellness website. That's BloomTampaBay.com.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Bull Oak.
Welcome back to Bloom. Men's health is so important, and that includes intimacy. For guys out there, you don't have to be stuck with the inconvenience of pills. There's a solution for ED that can help you reclaim your intimacy. Joining us now from Bull Oak Clinics is Mark Kramer. Hey, Mark, it's great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
Mark, with ED being a serious medical condition, most procedures available must be invasive. Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between what you're doing at Bull Oak versus other traditional methods?
Absolutely. And at Bull Oak, we have a breakthrough treatment. It's called acoustic wave therapy. Treats the root cause of ED. It's non-invasive, guys. There is no pain involved. There are no needles, no surgery, anything like that. So if you take a look at the left-hand side of the screen there, we have a small device that sits on top of the skin. That device will deliver gentle pressure waves to the blood vessels below. Now, over time, those blood vessels can become damaged. There could be some plaque buildup. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see what happens after the acoustic wave therapy treatments. Those blood vessels are repaired. They open up, and now a guy has more blood flow where and when he needs it the most. This allows also that natural spontaneity to return to his relationship.
And Mark, you mentioned this acoustic wave therapy treatment is not painful. There's no downtime or recovery time. Is this like a lunchtime procedure?
Well, you could consider that, I guess. If a guy wants to make his appointment over the lunch hour, yes, the average guy is going to need several treatments over the course of a 2 to 3 week period. Now, those treatments may last 8 to 10 minutes each, and that's it. So a guy can come in on his lunch hour, have his treatment, and he walks out, gets back to his normal daily routine without any downtime whatsoever. And again, I'm going to reiterate this, there's absolutely no pain either.
That's great to hear. Have there been any big medical findings? What studies have been done to show the effectiveness of acoustic wave therapy?
There are dozens and dozens of studies that have been done from 5 different countries, some of those studies even coming from Cambridge University as well as the Cleveland Clinic. The bottom line, when you boil it all down, those studies show both the safety and effectiveness of utilizing acoustic wave therapy in treating the root cause of ED.
So Mark, what are patients saying following their treatments?
Yeah, so a lot of patients are very hesitant to come in. Once they come in, they talk to our doctor, they see how easy the procedure is, and again, how pain-free the procedure is. They feel very good about it. We have guys telling us how their confidence has returned. And importantly here, because this can impact the relationship as well, we've had one couple tell us how acoustic wave therapy has given the relationship hope again, and that is a very powerful statement.
That really is incredible. So can couples come in together and learn more?
Absolutely. Couples can come in together. It's great if they do. However, with that said, you want to make sure the guy feels comfortable with that. You don't want a guy feeling uncomfortable about having his significant other in with him. If they can come in together, that is great.
All right. Well, Mark, I certainly want to thank you for joining us on Bloom today.
Thank you for having me.
And you can get your life back by calling Bull Oak today. The number is 813-219-1919 to get your first treatment free. Again, the number to call is 813-219-1919. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Bull Oak.
Today, we're celebrating Christmas miracles, and many find that through faith. Joining me now is licensed clinical social worker Reverend Justin LaRosa, who is the minister of the Portico in downtown Tampa. It's great to see you.
It's great to be back with you, Gayle. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas, by the way.
Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Thank you. So I love your mission because it's something that, of course, centers around faith. You know, faith is at the core of it.
For sure.
But really, it gives hope to people year-round. Talk to me about the Portico Cafe that really anyone can support, whether they go to church or not.
You know, you're absolutely right. You know, when we talk about the Portico, we talk about it's a place, it's a whole city block in downtown Tampa. It's a people, it's a missional community that bridges people from brokenness to their next step. And lastly, it's a movement to really focus on homelessness and connection with people who are struggling. So that's what we do.
And you give, you know, jobs and opportunities to people who are struggling at the cafe, which is right there nestled near some very popular hotels. I know a lot of hotel guests come and visit because there's great food, there's great coffee, there's a great vibe, and all of that money goes to supporting the Portico. And it also gives opportunity to others.
It absolutely does. So we have a small staff that come from backgrounds of homelessness, incarceration, or addiction. We also have a training program partnership with Cove, formerly known as DACO, where people in residential treatment come through for 8-week programs. And we have downtown meeting space that we rent, amazing coffee, as you said, made by a local company, and good food.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Now, I know last night on Christmas Eve you were serving, today for Christmas you were serving, and you serve breakfast all the time.
Yeah, so we have a missional church, which really is, like I said, focused on those populations. And one of the things that we do every single week, anywhere from 110 to 140 people come every Sunday morning for a hot breakfast and connection. So it's not just about giving the meal, it's being connected with the population, to have it in a safe place, to have conversation, And so we do that every single Sunday. So all throughout the year, we need about 25 to 35 volunteers, so people can sign up at theportico.org for anything like that.
Yeah, I've seen your mission in action, and it really, the volunteers do an incredible job.
Really
it's
do.
like a well-oiled machine, and everyone is served with dignity.
That's the point. That it's not just providing a meal too; it's being with. Something about you know, the inspiration of our faith is about being with people who everyone else often shun, and creating an environment where they're seen and heard. And that's what we try to do.
Yeah, and a lot of times people feel, you know, helpless. They want to help the homeless, they want to help people in need, but they don't know how. Supporting your mission really does that, because it goes layers and layers and layers of help.
Yeah, you know, Gayle, you're absolutely right. On one hand, you know, we have 100 and so people that come for breakfast, and of that, we try to get single men into housing, into jobs, who are already employed but don't have a space and place to live, don't have the security deposits, and so we bridge them to that. So we try to do kind of the real critical work of people being outside and providing tangible assistance, and then for the people who are ready, bridging them to transformation.
It's incredible what you do, Justin. Thank you so much for coming on Bloom again and sharing it with our viewers.
So grateful for you and all that you do. Thank you for supporting us.
Absolutely. And we're going to post this story on our website. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. It's time for today's Bloom trivia question. What do people traditionally put on top of a Christmas tree? An angel, a star, or ribbon? The answer is an angel, according to My Growing Traditions. When Christmas trees became popular in England in 1848, the Illustrated London News published a picture of Queen Victoria, Prince Albert, and their family around a Christmas tree topped with an angel. Thus, the Christmas angel became the most common tree topper. But Christmas stars are very popular, as are elegant Christmas reflectors, Santas, and snowmen are also commonly used. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. And tune into the Bloom Health Club, where we take a deep dive and have extended conversations with some of the top guests that we have right here on Bloom. You can stream Bloom Health Club anytime on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. Merry Christmas, everyone, and happy holidays to all of you. We hope you will tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. It's our Best of Bloom edition. National Geographic Fellow, New York Times bestselling author, and the founder of the Blue Zones, Dan Buettner, joins us to talk about his book, The Blue Zones: Secrets for Living Longer, Lessons from the Healthiest Places on Earth. And how could we say goodbye to 2023 and hello to 2024 without one last dance with social media sensation and positivity influencer Allison Jacobs, who's been teaching me TikTok dances all year.
You did that! You're getting better! You are getting better!
This is the first time I've made it through without a total flub up.
I am so impressed with you, Gayle. You want to...
So embarrassing, but I love me some Allison. Stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by Bull Oak.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.